familiar theme tune, and it is the Medicine Show Radio Moose Mobile. Your host, Rob Ellen, here with another episode on iMTV, which is our social media television network. And I'm delighted to welcome from the Highlands of Scotland to Fort Worth in Texas, Keegan McInroe, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Yeah. I love it when the technology works out, but it was touch and go in this case.
It was a
Apologies.
little, it was a little touch and go, but I think we got it figured out.
Apologies to those watching, and thanks for tuning in. Keegan's had to use a different camera, so it's not the best of quality, but we can see just how handsome he is from this, I think. And you've grown your hair a bit since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's I kind of I go in cycles. So sometimes I grow it out and I donate it, cut it, donate it, and then grow it out again, and then sometimes shave it. And
The donation thing's a good idea.
I like to keep myself on my toes about my appearance.
Yeah. Well, and the last time we fell into each other's company, it was in Hoorn, if I remember right. We're at Yolanda's as well in
Yep, you remember
in
correctly.
Holland. Yeah. And it was a bonny gig, man. It was beautiful. So pre-lockdown, of course. So,
Yeah.
and knowing how much of a traveling troubadour and how much of the actual travel is part of your art and your output as well. It must, I mean, and
Yeah.
it did come as a shock to everybody. How have you managed to cope to get to this, to get back to this point?
Um. Well, when the pandemic started, all the lockdowns started. It was the first time in over a decade I had been in one place for longer than 2 weeks.
I know
That's
the
not an
feeling.
exaggeration.
Yeah,
It had been about 10 years since I'd been somewhere for longer than 2 weeks. So it was a big change, of course, but I, I got a lot of time with my mom and my brother and my dog. Um, so there were some silver linings for sure, and we kind of holed up at my mom's place.
yeah.
And and had a lot of time to work, of course, on some guitar things and did some writing. Um, but in Texas, it opened up uh,
You
to
got
certain
you,
things relatively early.
yeah, you got on a bit faster than we did, I have to say.
Yeah, and so it wasn't. I think I probably I could have been playing earlier because there were some restaurants and things that would be at like 25% capacity or 50% capacity. But
Mhm.
I just kind of sat out until about August or September. I started playing a few shows last year, here and there. And my plan was actually to take this year off and help my mom, who has this beautiful old by Texas standards, Victorian home in Dublin, Texas. And we
Nice.
were going to turn it into a wedding venue. And so I was going to take this year to kind of work on that. But the city of Dublin, Texas, told us, no, we don't want you to do that. So we found that out about March of this year. And so a little before that, I'd kind of started shifting back to playing live around Texas, a few shows here and there. And then just went, okay, well, I'm gonna be playing music again. I got to make money, and this wedding venue is not going to happen this year. So, so about March, I started playing pretty regularly again, and there's it's I think March 2nd was when they did away with the all the restrictions. So since then, it's been pretty wide open, and I've played quite a bit. Had a residency I was doing in Fort Worth with some friends, kind of reintroducing myself to Texas because I've been the last
You've been
10 years
away? Yeah,
over in Europe.
mostly
Um,
abroad.
yeah, and started paying rent on a place in Fort Worth for the first time since like
Oof.
2008. So I'm a proper resident again
Yeah,
of Fort
and
Worth.
you've recorded an album, eh? And you got an album out and some videos as well, which I would like to play at
Yeah,
some.
so actually it's two singles.
Yeah,
When the pandemic happened, it started. So mid March of 2020, I was working on an EP and then parts of 3 other songs, and then of course everything grinded to a halt. And so the 2 singles are 2 of the side things I was working on. It's To the Moon and Back there.
I know, yeah. I'm lining it all up
Yeah.
so we can play it. Just
So the To the Moon and Back
thanks for the
was going to
intro.
be its own thing.
Yeah,
But the others, then I released that in September. The other song, "Never Seen a Ghost," was going to be a part of a EP I was going to do with a band in Verona, Italy, and a buddy of mine, Michele Bertoldi. And because of the pandemic, the engineer we were going to use in Verona had to get a real job, so we were only able to do the one song. So it's just a single as well.
yeah.
I have an
There
EP that's pretty much in the can that I'm sitting on, and then I have a lot of material for several albums, but I don't know what exactly how that's going to come out exactly. But yeah, these are just 2 little art pieces, independent singles. To the Moon and Back I wrote for my mother, and then Never Seen a Ghost I wrote about her house there in Dublin, a story I'd heard about how it was haunted
Yeah.
and why it was haunted. And so we filmed a really creepy music video out at her house. So both tied to my mother, but very, very different songs.
Okay, let's hear that first. And thanks for the introduction. Thanks to everybody who is here. There is a chat frame if you want to. Oh, look, you're getting birthday.
Oh, hey there. Hey, Ruth, thank you. Yes, this is my birthday weekend. Oh,
There you go. Look at that. A lot of love
look
out
at
there
that.
for Keegan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's play the video,
Thank you,
guys.
Lori.
Thank you for being with us. And that should happen now.
Oh, this is Never Seen a Ghost.
Yeah, that was the last one you're talking about, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Come right back and talk a bit more with Keegan McInroe.
Well, I ain't ever seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. 1912 and the wife's away. Her husband, the housemaid, and the devil. 9 months later, there's a baby girl. Well, she'll grow up hated, but she won't grow old. I ain't never seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. 1918, the man's away. The wife grabs a knife while the devil sings. The moon give light where the child lay. Now there's blood on the rug, and the mother screams. I ain't never seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Never seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Well, there's footsteps on the stairs, there's footsteps overhead, and the shadows on the wall make me wish that I were dead. And the TV won't stay off, well, it's as loud as it can go. And there's pennies in the rafters, and some doors that won't stay closed. And there's creaking in the hallway, and some pictures overturned. may be heard crying out for help, but I ain't never seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I ain't never seen a ghost in this old house. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Well, I ain't never seen a ghost in this old house. Never seen a ghost in this old house. I ain't ever seen a ghost in this old house.
Great fun. That's Keegan and Ghost in His Old House. We're talking about the old house with him as well, and I'm trying to bring him back on air. Just stay with us there, Keegan. Yeah, that's where I would want to get married.
We have had a wedding out there. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Was that the house you were brought up in, Keegan?
No, I grew up in Lubbock, Texas. My mom bought that house in 2011.
Yeah.
So she's from Levelland out near Lubbock. And
Oh, I'm just going to kill that.
yep,
There we go. Thank you.
yeah. And so she found that house in 2011 and bought it. And
Yeah,
yeah, as of July, she's been there 10 years.
it's a beautiful place.
Oh,
Tell
it's
me,
gorgeous.
what is it about Lubbock? Is there something in the water that just creates songwriters?
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of great music comes out of West Texas. There's not just a lot to do, and I think there's something about wide open spaces, and it's very flat.
Yeah.
In a lot of that part of the Panhandle,
Flat and windy.
Lubbock and basically going west towards Levelland is level land. You know, it's
Yeah.
very level. And so maybe there's something about those kind of like, rolling fields of cotton and different things that, sit and look at it long enough. And
horizons.
Yes. And then just not having just a ton of things to do out there.
I
Outside
suppose
of getting creative and whatever.
I suppose if it takes root, then there's somebody next door that's got ideas in songwriting, or you're going to see other fabulous songwriters, or you've got peer people like, going all the way back to Buddy Holly, but you've got peer people that are creating songs. So in your own environment, would you think that it's like, well, it's possible for me, maybe I could do that as well?
No, I started, well, I grew up riding horses, and I would often make up songs when I was riding my horse and singing my horse.
Yeah.
It was either that or Home on the Range or Drinking Champagne that I'd heard on a George Strait album. Those were my horse singing songs.
Nice.
And but I would also make them up. And then I started writing poetry, and then when I got a guitar when I was 17, it was a very natural thing for some of those poems to start turning into songs. But I never really had aspirations of, or even thoughts of being a professional musician or songwriter or anything. It just kind of, when I growing up, football was kind of my life. And then when I got into to college, I wasn't playing football anymore. So music became my main outlet. And enough drunk young college kids convinced me I should play at a bar sometime. So I started doing that. I had a fake ID that said I was from Des Moines, Iowa, and I was in a bar across the street from my university. And the owner was like, "Well, we were talking about it. He goes, if you want to play here, for $50 and all the whiskey you can drink, you're welcome to." I said, "Oh, it's a deal."
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it was just about kind of having an outlet, and just really the party, you know.
Yeah.
And actually, when I studied for a semester in London, and that was when I started kind of taking it more seriously, because I found an open mic night down on the King's Road in Chelsea.
Nice.
And underneath the West Cornwall Passy shop, there was a place called Bosun's Locker. And somebody who became a dear friend, Mr. Andy Balkwell, worked there, and he ran an open mic night. And so I would go down there and play. It was just down the street from my house, student housing. And I would go down the street and play there, and was met with a lot of enthusiasm for people that all over the world that had no reason to be nice to me. Like my friends back home, is, "Oh, you're good." I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, that's Joe that I've known for years or whatever."
Yeah.
And these people had no reason to. So when I kind of got that encouragement, I started thinking like, well, maybe there's something to this. But that was it. There was no aspiration there, and no real thought of what tradition or whatever I was coming out of.
That was going to be my next question. Do you think you're part of the blues tradition of Texas, or is that just something that has had, and the songwriting tradition, of course, it's a land of song. Is that just something that's seeped in through the pores, osmosis wise?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of nature and nurture there,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
there's a whole, especially when you start traveling as a songwriter from Texas.
Yeah.
Texas has its own kind of,
You
I
have
don't
to
know
be
if
an
unique is the
ambassador
right
for the
word, but
form,
there's
don't
something
you?
there.
Yeah.
And so, how much of that is natural and how much of that gets kind of reinforced as you travel, and people put things on you and you play things yourself. But certainly it resonates authentically for me. The storytelling
Yeah.
aspect of it in particular. I think that's one of the things about a lot of the Texas kind of songwriting, heroes of old or whatever, is the storytelling aspect of it, which goes back to like the cowboy poetry and different things
It
like that,
does.
of course.
Yeah. And you'd know all about that.
Yeah, this out on the range storytelling thing that's kind of part of the Texas songwriting tradition. I certainly would identify with that. I don't think I've done anything particularly unique enough to be considered up in the blues gods from Texas. I do love the blues, and I'm influenced by them.
Your picking style is definitely influenced. And
Yeah,
and you're prone to the odd bit of bottleneck here and there as well, aren't you?
yeah. I enjoy. I actually got my electric resonator, which was made in London.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, this is a custom made.
Hey, that's going to be a beast of a thing through a PA system, is it not?
Oh yeah, she's a monster.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I've actually been I'm trying to work up a set where it is like all bottleneck slide kind of stuff, just to now that I'm stationary, I got to find things to keep myself busy. So I'm gonna start picking up on more of the bottleneck stuff. But yeah, from about 2008 or 9 on, I started doing some slide stuff, and I should be so much better at it than I am, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. So Larissa's in the house. Hi, Larissa. Thanks for joining us. And her comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so Larissa said storytelling was came from the first African American blues players as well. It was all about stories. Yeah, and that's correct. Of course, a lot of that blues tradition came out of the slavery, field hollers and things like this. And one of the things that it was a vehicle for for getting messages across that you could kind of subvert the master's understanding with certain words that they would think meant what they meant on the surface, and you'd actually be talking about something else. So it was a vehicle for kind of a subversive messages as well.
Yeah.
And then and then when it became quite sexualized with innuendo, a lot of
Yes.
innuendo, and into the blues thing. But yeah, the whole Americana tradition that kind of is rooted in that storytelling and communicating things, other than just
Of
kind
course,
of a
that met with the Gaelic tradition, with the Irish and the Scottish, and the
right.
Appalachians, and
Yep.
their tradition, our tradition, is storytelling and songs carrying stories through the generations and being passed on through the generations as well.
Yeah.
So there you
Thank you,
go,
Lori.
more love, and Laurie has managed to pair the stream as well. So thanks for that. Thanks for all the
Yeah, thank you,
shares and
Lori.
all the comments. It's really cool. And yeah, happy birthday. So more birthday
It's so
wishes
sweet.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the I think, is this the latest?
This was the one
Video?
so the Never Seen a Ghost was the last one. I released that in October.
Okay.
And then To the Moon and Back, which is this
Oh, that's for
beautiful
your mum.
animation. That was
Yeah.
I released that in September.
Yeah.
And so To the Moon and Back, I wrote for my mom. I Love You to the Moon and Back is something I grew up hearing quite a bit and seeing written in cards and things from her. And so I wrote this for my mom, and then I had it animated by this wonderful artist in Colorado. And I'm trying to think of what her Instagram, Facebook, Maddie Zoo, Madeley Zoo,
Okay.
MADELEIZOO is her artist name on Instagram and Facebook. She's awesome, and
Yeah.
and she did such a great job with this.
I dare say. Let me see if I can just bring up a caption with your website on it. I think probably get all that information on your
For sure.
website,
Yep.
Keegan. Yeah, and where they can download the singles and how much those are, and every download will help you create more art. Is that the way it works?
It helps. It's also on Spotify. People
Yeah.
like it's but the download app is Name Your Own Prize. But you
Yeah.
can get it from my website. And then there's links to Spotify, there's links to YouTube, there's links to Instagram and Facebook and anything else you could want, pretty much.
And
But there might even be a
and
donation button if you just want to.
that was going to be my
money.
next inquiry. How important donations have been to sustaining all of us during these times. It's really unfathomable how important that has been, isn't it?
Yeah, I certainly in the beginning when we were in lockdown,
You know,
it there were several donations from individuals and also from some musician help funds that were started around Texas and the Fort Worth music community that definitely kept me. I mean, I was staying out at my mom's place, but you still need money for things or whatever. And I was fortunate, of course, it's a blessing to be able to go out there with my mom and hang out. Of course, we were able to start playing again pretty soon. So
so you're back. You're back to work now, then, eh?
I'm back to work pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And limited.
Have you looked into traveling at all? You're going to get back to, because I know the Netherlands is a stomping ground of yours, and
Yeah, I fell in love with Europe a long time ago, and I'm still in love with Europe, but I don't see any time in the foreseeable future where I'm going to be coming over. Now Austria just locked down again. Germany's talking about locking down again. It's just so much planning and money to an organization to right now. Everything's just so up in the air, and back and forth still. It's like if I book a run of shows in Texas and they fall through while I drive home.
Yeah.
You know, if I book a run of shows in Europe and then halfway through everything locks down again, and also it's just travel's just not fun right now. Flying's not fun, and everything's just it's just a difficult time,
Yeah.
and so every country also has their different you know things that you have to be there or get back in or get out, or so it's just right now I'm just gonna hang out in Texas and exist, and try to hopefully put out some good creative content and tour as I can, and then when things get back to some sort of normal on a global scale, hopefully I'll be
Yeah.
able to get back to Europe really soon. I just had to turn down 2 festivals in Germany for this coming
Ah,
summer.
that's the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah,
It's nice the festivals are working again. Here's another thing that has come up on my radar uh, with two singer songwriters. They decided to bite the bullet, and because their friends had always said to them, "Listen, can we come on one of your tours at some point?" We've organised tours that take in a cultural and heritage look at Scotland with the artists, and we have 3 of those happening next year,
oh, that's
which
great.
means, yeah, yeah, which means that they get to play some folk clubs and get involved in some sessions, and their friends get to hear the music from the source as well. So that's I'm just throwing that in as something that I see, and what's happening now. Nobody really knows which venues are going to come back, so you have to actually create your own venues and your own
Yeah,
shows, which is something that we've been doing for a good while. And I'm starting to bring the European House Concert Hub back
yeah,
online,
that's
really,
right.
to
And I
try and
have to, and now is a perfect time for me to stop and thank you because it took us years to meet.
yeah.
But when I booked my first European tour in 2012, I found the Euro House Concert Hub, and through that met several people who became not only great friends but instrumental parts of my growth in playing over in Europe, and
Isn't that beautiful? Well,
yeah, and
that's
led
just
led
made my
me
day.
to the
It's kind of,
Rudolstadt Music Festival and all sorts of other things. So
yeah. And
thank you.
I think the advice is, and you probably your advice too. Anybody is considering, and what you're saying, it is difficult just now, but when it does get to the point of it back opening back up again, and some of the clubs are opening up, the Americana uh, based clubs that are run by fans and friends, and I'll be bringing some of those guys on here to talk about how they're coping with it all as well. They have jumped on it quite quickly because they're enthusiasts and they want it
Yeah,
to be happening. So if you're thinking, conversely, as my mum always said, it's a ill wind that blows no one any favour. It's an old Scottish saying. But if you're thinking of maybe coming for the first time, I think now might be a good time to do that because the clubs, your folks that are established, are like yourself, just holding off to see what's going on. But if you want to get established now, most of the clubs are running with Americana artists, but local Americana artists rather than traveling Americans and Australians and all the other things. So it might just be a good time to get the foot in the door,
there's
just
there's
if you're willing
certainly
to take the risk.
there's certainly out of this. I mean, obviously, this we're not out of anything yet. Where the
No,
situation's ongoing, but as things begin to open and there is a newness and kind of like a starting over kind of thing that's
yeah, yeah.
there's almost an excitement in it's almost like a fresh start for a lot of people in scenes, and
Yeah,
so
and
I
ways of
definitely
thinking and creativity as well. I think you're right.
yeah. And different and reimagining how to do things.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's probably something to be said for that, and definitely, in Texas, it's already worn off a bit, but certainly in places where you haven't been able to go out or there haven't been places open, there's definitely a thirst and a hunger for live music and
Yeah.
just being with people, in general. And so yeah, there's a lot of ways that people are getting creative on how to do that, make that happen. And
Yeah.
I've been basically, I was preparing to move to Europe at the beginning of 2020, and I had the last 2012 to 2019 was over in Europe about half the time
Yeah.
playing, and that was where I was kind of that's where the doors were opening the widest, and that was where I was spending most of my time playing. So I let my market and my network and connections in Texas and the States kind of dwindle a bit. So I've been using this time to kind of reestablish that part of it, and hopefully if things get back to some sort of normal on a global scale, then hopefully I'll have a more robust scene here, and I can continue my back and forth a little more effectively than in the past. But I definitely look forward to a time when I get back over and see all my friends there. Like you say, turning down gigs and turning down festivals and
No,
turning down nice invitations from friends to go and do things is not
it's damned unnatural, Keegan. It's
no,
unnatural.
it is unnatural. Yes. I was always in the past. It's like, there's people that are like, oh, if you're ever here, call me, look
Yeah.
me up. Oh, if you're ever here, look me up. And I'm the person that's like, okay, be
I'm
careful what you
that
tell me, 'cause
person.
I will be
I
there.
am
I
that
will show
person
up.
as well. And
Yeah.
we managed to. Well, we've got the Medicine Show Radio Miss Mobile here, of course, but we've been down through Texas and had a night in Fort Worth before I'd met you, actually.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
was all people that said, oh, if you're ever in Texas, you should come and visit. And so we did.
Yep.
So hopefully we can all get back to that at some point as well. But as you said, it's kind of harder to get the flow going to make it work
Yeah.
these days, that is for sure. Okay, so I'm going to play the video, and I'm going to thank you for joining us. It's a very pleasant chat, and I've got my eye on the time, and also I've got my sweet and sour chicken in the oven. So that's multitasking for you. So I'm going to
Right.
rejoin that, get my dinner, and I'm going to wish you good. Wish you well, Keegan, and
Thanks.
it'll happen. We'll fall into each other's company at some point.
I look forward to that. And thank you for
And
having me. It was good to talk to you again.
it's always good. And the radio thing, I'm hoping that once you get started back on the road, you'll bring back your blogs from the road and the radio, because you were sending, you were kind enough to have us on
Yeah.
when we were traveling around Holland, back on your radio show in Fort Worth. So
Yep.
that connection, a Scotsman, a Canadian, and in Holland broadcasting to a podcast and live radio show back and forth Fort Worth is like, wow. And
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was
it
cool.
being
So that
real
was
good fun just
yeah,
doing
there
it.
was a radio station in Fort Worth called The Pirate, and my show, the Keegan McInroe Radio Hour, was broadcast on there for several years,
Yeah,
and then they went under in August. So I've been trying to figure out, like you said, not being on the road either, how
yeah.
to reimagine the show maybe. But I'm hoping in 2022 to get it back up and running as a podcast or find a home for it. But on terrestrial radio or whatever. But yeah, we'll see.
Well,
But I had a great
listen,
time interviewing you. That was a lot of fun.
that was great fun. I remember it was in the back of the Moose, and we were
That's
wandering
right.
around all over Hut,
Yeah.
getting stuck in traffic jams and everything. So I'll flash this up. Flying Shoes Review, which is our broadcasters and podcasters reviewers page on Facebook. Obviously, you'd be very welcome to, and I would share that to everybody that might want to listen to what is happening with yourself. This has been broadcast from Flying Shoes Review at the moment as well, and that's the logo for it. So hopefully, keep in touch, man. Let's see if we can pull that off,
Be
and
good.
and look forward to more product coming out and seeing you live at some point. And again, thanks to everybody for joining us. We've had an audience all the way through this
Oh, that's
evening,
great.
so and some nice comments and everything as
Oh,
well.
thank you, Amy.
Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us, guys. Please do follow the Moose. It's Medicine Show Radio Moose Mobile. If you follow the Moose and invite your friends too, the more we'll view. There you go. There's the catchphrase. And I'm just about ready to play uh, To the Moon and Back, which I'm
Great.
looking forward to.
Open your eyes, my child. There's a great big world to see. Open your heart, open your mind, open your mouth and sing. Paint your visions in the stars. Let it be written on your heart. I love you to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back. In a space that knows no time. There forever is your heart and mine. And I love you to the moon and back. Arise, my child, be anything you choose. Rise and shine. There's nothing you can do. You may fall, but you'll get up. You can't fail if you don't stop. And I love you to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back. In a space that knows no time. There forever is your heart and mine. And I love you to the moon and back. While it's true this life is hard, I'll be with you from the start, my love. In a space that knows no time, there forever is your heart and mine. And I love you to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back. I love you to the moon and back.
Beautiful, man. A bit late
Thanks,
to
sir.
be down that. Beautiful. And I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm with Laurie in saying that as well. So touching, encouraging, and positive. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thanks for remaining positive all the way through all of that, and for continuing to produce your music.
Absolutely, brother.
That's all we can do, eh? Just keep on keeping on, brother.
That's it.
So what's next? And then I'll let you go. Oh,
Oh,
you need to show us. You need to introduce us to the dog.
oh, Delia Skunk. Hey, Delia, come here, baby. Come here. Come here. Delia, come here. Come here. Come here. She was laying down. She's
Oh, let sleeping dogs lie. What am I
she's
thinking of?
grudgingly coming over. Come here, skunk. Here, we'll get her up here. Come here, baby. Come here. Oh, this is my Delia skunk here.
Sleepy old dog. So
She's a
that's
big
the other
girl.
thing. That's the other thing that's kept us going through,
Absolutely.
and all the other stuff is the love of a pet, and actually getting them out for walks and all that sort of stuff as well has been pretty much.
Yeah, the pandemic's my dog's favorite thing that's ever happened.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm home all the time now.
The dog's not alone and all of that.
No, certainly not. So next is I recorded the thing out at my mom's in the attic of my mom's place last December and filmed it. And I was going to release that at the end of this year, but then the timing didn't quite work out. So really, the rest of this year, I kind of have I'm taking it pretty easy and kind of sorting out what my plans for 2022 are.
Yeah.
I got a couple of runs out to far west Texas, the Terlingua Alpine, Big Bend, Marfa area.
Oh,
Planned for
making me
early
jealous.
22, and there will be music releases and hopefully some video releases and things. But
Is
kind of
Carvo going ahead
a
this
lot of
year?
wide open. I got a lot of wide open space in my 2022 right now.
Do you know if Carvo's working this year?
Who's that now?
Carvo Festival.
Oh, if Kurt, yeah, I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Yeah,
It's usually what in like May, June.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
South by is March, April-ish,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Folk Alliance is going to be happening in Kansas City. So starting to come back to some normality. I would like to get out of Folk Alliance. Like to do them both again this year as well, but again, we'll see how it all how it all unfolds. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us and being with us. There is a speed donation button for iMTV, and we do broadcast across our entire network. The donation is in the chat frame there, and I've just flashed it up there. If you've got a pencil or a pen, you can jot it down from there. From the chat frame, you can just click straight through, and I'll, while I'm on the plug-in the Medicine Show stuff, Medicine Show Records, our Christmas album is out. Let me just show you how fabulous this looks. There it is. And it sounds great as well. All donated songs by artists with their Christmas songs. And it is available on Bandcamp. Pay what you like, and all the donations help keep the moose on the road and wheels on the Medicine Show. And if that happens, we get to meet really cool people like Keegan in places like
Yeah.
Hoorn, in the Netherlands. So hopefully, it's all helping keep the connections going and flowing. And we'd look forward to seeing you back at this side and getting back over there stateside as well. Thanks again for
Absolutely.
joining us, Keegan.
Thank you for having me, Rob. It's fun.
Did we cover it all? Do you think that you're up to?
What's that now?
That I'm gonna play the. I'm gonna see if I can find the video again. I've just killed it, but the To the Moon and Back video is so beautiful. I'll try and I'll play our theme music out, and then I'll play the To the Moon and Back as well.
Oh, thanks.
And have you got some other videos up your sleeve? Is there more coming? Are you working on that just now?
Yeah, I'm working on. There's a small possibility that there is the video for it's my well taking a step back. It's my hope, my goal over the course of whatever I have left in my life to release videos from for all the songs from my last full length album, A Good
Yeah.
Old Fashioned Protest. And so I have one out from the album I'm not doing very good right now, but I have another couple that are being worked on, and one for the love that the song is called "The Love That We Give,"
Yeah.
and there's a chance that I might have a video for that before the year's up, um, finished, and then whatever new things I put out in 2022, there will be videos as well. So I think especially these days, visual is so important for
Yeah.
people, and it's definitely the medium to kind of you need to have it, and I've not done a very good job of having it in the past. So I'm trying to make sure that everything I release now is a full creative expression
Yeah.
um, and experience. So it definitely gets pricey,
Yeah.
So it also, just trying to figure out how to release music these days, a single versus an EP versus an LP, it's also so tricky. I released all full length albums for years, and every
Yeah.
time I would hear, "Oh no, you should be releasing singles only," and then I release singles only, and people say, "Oh no, nobody takes you seriously unless you release an album."
Yeah.
So it's so
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to
It's
play the game, is
damned if
all
you do, damned if you don't.
exactly. So
It's
I'll
tricky.
in some capacity there will be things, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, that I will be continuing to put out as long as I'm breathing, probably.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a case of being creative with it. There's a couple of artists that I've been working with that have struck uh, on it individually, but what they did all because they wanted to release stuff during lockdown, and whole albums weren't feasible really. They released a single once a month
Hmm.
and got creative with the video process as well.
Yeah.
And I- and I didn't see this coming, but what happened was that the DJs, because they at the moment they want to support independent minded music, because it's more they're getting more uh, record label music because it's easier because they've got a bit of budget and some backup, so they can keep on releasing stuff, whereas the artists haven't so much got that. They picked up on that and were waiting for the next single to come out. So what it did was keep everybody in the radio rotations, or at least those artists that were doing it, for
Right.
the whole year. And now they've got a head of steam up
Right.
on on that creation, and both the artists that I'm working with are releasing those as CDs
Mm.
at the moment, just in time for Christmas. So so it was almost like a whole year's worth of promotion
Right.
brought it to the point where they now feel confident enough to release the record because so many people have asked them for the
Yeah.
record for the whole package to be all together in one record. So there
Yeah.
are ways of doing it and getting around the
Yeah,
fee.
I've thought about doing a series of EPs, where I roll out, one song at a time, three over the year, but once a month. Every
Yeah,
4 months there's a
I
new
think
EP
that's the
out.
key. I think you've got to make it regular, and people respond to that because they know that something is coming, and then you can pre-release it. And Spotify's got a nice pre-release facility, so people can sign up for it, and you have got uh, and you know who it is that are making a particular effort to be interested in your new music. Uh, and then who knows? Even if they don't buy every time they listen to one of your songs, they might well be there to help you get the next album out. That's the other way of looking at it as well.
Yeah,
If
it's one way, shape, form, or fashion. These days, you basically, the word is content.
Yeah,
You got to be constantly producing content,
yeah,
and
and And
So
exclusive content helps as well for those folks that are taking a particular interest in what you're doing. We have a Patreon site, and basically, it's not people just throw in £5 a month, but are committed to that and to thank me and what we do here for what we are doing. And once a month, that gets downloaded into my PayPal and takes care of one or two bills that
yeah,
otherwise might not get taken care of. So we thank everybody that is interested in doing that for us with the Patreon site as well. Do you have a Patreon site?
no, I don't. I probably should,
It
I guess.
it takes a lot of maintenance because but if you've got your friends and fans and family there, and and it's another outlet for stuff that you might not uh, have the wherewithal to release to on a bigger release.
Hmm.
You can and there's a dialogue that goes on there as well. You can say, "Well, what do you think of this? Is this something that should go on a record?" And you get some information back. And thanks again to everybody for all the information and positive notes on this evening's uh,
Yes, thank you all.
show. Thank you, Keegan. Tomorrow we've got Mal Watt, and hopefully at some point you'll meet Mal. He's a Scot.
Oh, good.
He comes from the Highlands of Scotland. He's an expat that is lives in London now, but he's been picked up by a Nashville record label, and they've got Patty Griffiths and Eliza Carthy and two or three high rollers, top notchers, to help him
That's
out with
great.
his songs. And his songs, when we were touched on this earlier, his songs are all about the cross pollination of stories and songs from Scotland and Ireland to America. And he tells the story of explorers who did that trail, cowboys from Scotland who became cowboys in Texas, in his songs. So it's been picked up by Nashville and is getting played all over America. And and the thing about Mal is I've known him since his first band, college band, some 30 years or so.
Oh
So
boy.
it's never over, is it? It's
No.
you just every time you do something, it could lead to something. He never in his wildest dreams thought he'd have Patty Griffin on one of his albums, or Eliza Carthy, or a record deal out of Nashville.
Mhm.
And he's just kept playing those open mics, and he's showed up for the gigs and maintained what we're talking about with his fans, and now his fans are responding and helping him getting out and about, and hopefully he'll be out and about doing some gigs and coming to Fort Worth. So you never know, I might be able to say I can't come, but my mate Mal's coming along. Maybe he can do open up for you in the show or something. That's how it works, eh?
Oh, we'd love to have him in Fort Worth. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd set up something.
All right. Well, that's tomorrow. Same time, same place, same click of the mouse. Join us on the Moose, from the Moose on iMTV. Thank you, Keegan. Thanks for
Thank
calling
you.
in this evening, and we'll be keeping in touch.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Any videos, fire them along, and we'll fire them up on Flying Shoes Review
You
and
got it.
to the iMTV network, and let folks know what's going on. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night, folks.